I step outside and I get up again. No one's there. It's pretty hazy and the smell of hot dogs is pretty palpable.
I drink a whiskey drink. I drink a vodka drink. I drink a lager drink. I drink a cider drink.
Only 90 kids will remember this.
Fucking Chumbawamba. What a name for a band.
Tub thumping.
Tub thumping. Tub thumping. I always remember the cover had that weird baby on it, and I was very fascinated with that.
It's an upsetting cover. I look over across the yard. TJ and Jenna are sitting at the table. TJ is munching down on his third helping of cut-up hot dogs. He's a little baby. Does Jenna cut his hot dogs?
Jenna says, you need to cut them up smaller.
Here comes the airplane. Well, Jenna sets up top with her feet hanging off the side. I was having trouble visualizing what we're talking about for a second there. I was like, wait.
Too busy picturing those cut up hot dogs.
Yeah, couldn't adjust. It's kind of funny how small she is. Like, she never grew up past age 13. My mind drifts back to the other Fennecs in the smoke room. They all kind of had that youthful appearance to them. I wonder if that's part of the appeal. Oh.
What a weird thing to say, Chase.
I don't like that. He's talking about, like, it's like when people talk about, like, they go to Bangkok or whatever, and you like this like ethnic aspect to the sex industry. That's just like, I don't know if that's a good reason to be wanting that, honestly.
Well, and then especially then it gets tricky with like the youthful thing, because then it's like, well, how youthful we talking, huh?
Uh-huh.
Like, how young you want these people to look?
Why don't you have a seat over there?
Yeah, what?
Why don't you have a seat over there?
You're not Chris Hansen. Yes, I am.
What?
There's that one guy that's like,
yes, I am.
He's like, no, you're not. And he's like, yes, I am. Like some guy like was trying to fight with him.
Oh, he said you're not Chris Hansen to Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, what do you mean by that?
No, Keith, you are not Chris Hansen, and we all know that.
I just remember enjoying the South Park episode where Chris Hansen apparently just has hypnotic powers. Like whenever he says for someone to sit down, they're confused why they're sitting down. Like the acting in the show makes it obvious in South Park that they themselves don't understand why they're sitting down
like
he's
now. He's just really good at getting people to sit down.
It's like, oh, what?
Oh, I guess I do want to sit down.
It's like a Jedi mind trick. I wonder if that's part of the appeal.
I'm surprised you're so comfortable walking around in there.
I glance over my shoulder, looking back at the weather-worn house. Huh? Why?
The spiders. You're still afraid of them, right?
I had been trying not to think about that the whole time, actually. It felt like there were lots of them in the house, even when I lived in there, and that was with my parents bug-bombing the place every month. I resist the urge to reach down and rub my feet, in case there were any walking around in my fur. Those are very small spiders. Not, like, deathly.
I get those little tiny ones on me all the time.
I don't like it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I go out in the world, and I'm in a warehouse a lot, and it's a thing that just happens.
No.
Especially this time of year, it's summer, they like blow their little webs and they fly, you know, they catch the wind and they fly around like at the end of Charlotte's Web.
Yeah. Charlotte! There's a lot of little tiny feelings I get where I can't tell if it's like a weird itch or a spider or a fly or mosquito or a hair.
That's why I always make it a point to look, because I don't want to hit a spider. I was driving.
I need to know. You have the exact opposite reason most people have.
I was like driving home the other day, and there was one like I was in the car, and there was one like on my leg, right? I was like, oh no! As I caught him in my hand, but I was like, how am I gonna keep him safe the whole drive home? I can't throw him out the window. And so what I did is I took a bottle cap. I carefully unscrewed a bottle cap off my water bottle, and then I pressed the spider up against my leg. Because like, I didn't have like
so that you get to hold him against your leg with the bottle cap?
Yeah, so he was underneath the bottle cap, but I was like pressing the bottle cap into my leg because I didn't have a flat surface. Like, I didn't want to move him.
First person I know of who captures a spider specifically in a way that holds them against their body forever.
And then I just drove home with one hand, like the whole way home, because I had to keep this bottle cap pressed up
You
against my leg.
endangered yourself for the spider.
And I was like, I think I can do this fine. And then as soon as I got home, I went yoink, and I lifted the bottle cap and I scooped him up really quick and I put him outside. And I put him in the bushes in front of our house.
And then he walked in my mouth when I was sleeping.
He's welcome there.
No.
Just don't get hurt.
I just think about the plot twist that happened where I needed help catching a spider because I saw it and it was on my wall and I was unhappy, so I just
That was so funny.
So I just caught it in a cup, and then I was like, I didn't plan far enough ahead. I don't have like a paper to slip under this. I don't have a way of like actually getting this spider, like, but it's caught. So I was just like banging on the wall, like, Stephanie,
Stephanie,
get a paper,
Stephanie.
And then you came in with the paper to scoop it up. And then you just like, just like scuttered off with the spider and just kept it. I'm like, I did keep it. It's like, that's not the ending I wanted.
It lived in my room after that.
It's like another for the collection.
Thank you, Keith. You have done well.
Professor Oak. I crossed my arms over my chest, tugging some at the fabric of my shirt.
Right. Of course.
TJ snickers some. Jenna pulls out her phone, beginning to tap away at the digital keyboard.
By the way, we found something else that might help you with your project.
Oh?
It's in my purse. Could you grab it? Give me a fucking spider in there.
Sure. What is it? Is it the spider? Is it going to be the same fucking fake spider? Jenna doesn't answer, continuing her texting. TJ, meanwhile, seems to be grinning at his empty ketchup-covered plate.
It's the fucking spider.
It's the spider. TJ knows. Jenna? I move over to the purse, unbuttoning the main flap. I've always been a bit wary of going through girls' purses for obvious reasons. Their bad dragon collection. On the go.
Yeah, on the go.
Emergency use only. It's in a small glass case.
Dude, I just have like weird things in there, like a half-eaten apple, or like a brochure for like a monster truck rally, or like
a half-eaten apple somehow just so much more upsetting.
It's you know,
no,
a bag of crickets I'm bringing home. I scared some girl at Ulta because I went to go pay and I pulled out my wallet, but to get to my wallet I had to pull out the bag of crickets I had in my purse, and she jumped and I was like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I forgot that this wasn't normal for you. I'm surprised they let me back in there. They're probably like, oh, this bitch.
Stephanie contains horrors. The first thing I noticed, though, is a piece of folded paper with Chase written in all capital letters on the top. It looks like there's something wedged inside of it as well. Curious, I pulled back the top of the paper and feel something fuzzy against my paw pads, then a bristling sensation. Thin, prodding things tickle the tips of my fingers. I squeeze one and yank it up. Dangling before me is an orange and black tarantula, its limbs bouncing from the sudden pull of force. Jesus fuck! I toss it down to the dirt, it seeming to bounce right back up and land sideways on my foot. I scramble back, kicking at it with as much force as I can muster. Shit! Shit! My chest heaves and I can feel like my heart is about to burst from my chest. The tarantula doesn't move, and that's when I realize TJ and Jenna are grinning at me. TJ has her phone pointed in my direction. Jesus, she's filming this. Language! It's just rubber, Chase. That... I pointed at the limp, 8-legged thing that's now 3 yards away, stuck in a patch of goat head brambles. That is not funny.
It is, actually.
Aw, I'm sorry, Chase. It was Jenna's idea. It was 99 cents at that gas station we stopped back at the Two Canyons. No wonder you two wouldn't let me see what you bought. Did you guys actually have anything for me? I mean, regarding my project. TJ begins to look even more guilty. Jenna sets her phone down and goes about reclasping her purse.
Not really, Chase. As you said, there wasn't much information about the 1877 happening. Most search results directed us towards dubious ghost hunting websites with no source of veracity that could be utilized in a formal report.
Well, I sigh, stilling my swaying tail and feeling calm once again. Was there anything that could be used as a non-formal report? The Fennec cocks her head, her eyes seeming to look right through me as she thinks, before meeting my gaze once again.
What do you want to know more about? The UFO spotted over Echo Canyon by a group of night hikers? The Masetta ghost woman who wanders along the edges of the res, seducing men before impaling them on the branches of the mesquite trees? I want to hear about that. Or perhaps the Mothman, who now apparently has been seen driving a semi-truck down Route 93 at midnight. Yes, that one too.
Yeah.
Those all sound great.
Yeah, I want all these. Maybe he needed a side job. The economy has been tough lately. I let out an exasperated sigh. Or noise. Okay, I get your point.
Although there were lots of mentions of the riots here. That includes the happenings in 1915, as well as some other unsourced stuff about violence after World War II. Just a general perception that we were all a bunch of desert malcontents living in some sort of Sodom and Gomorrah style situation for a century.
Sounds about right.
We even had a famous brothel that served all the miners in the area.
The smoke room.
The smoke room.
A brothel? I look at TJ, who is frowning acknowledgingly. Does he really not know? It's a place where they make broth and other types of soup.
Oh my gosh.
I know what a brothel is.
He's trying to trick him. He's like, oh, fucking idiot.
Futon. Jenna merely smirks and shakes her head.
It was called the smoke room.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Wait, what? I tense up, and they seem to notice. Chase? Is something wrong? The smoke room. Yeah. Yeah? That still exists. I was there last night. It's quite the confession, Chase.
You might want to like give more context to that. You went to a brothel last night.
Jenna says this less as a question and more of a deadpan matter of fact. What? No, it was this bar that Flynn went to. It's right by the casino. There's no sign for it or anything, and it's like some sort of gay bar?
A gay bar? In this county?
At least that's what it seemed like it was. I shrug, trying to phrase this as carefully as I can without going into too much into details, because you do not want to tell Jenna the details.
About the tiger?
I don't know. I don't mean those details.
No,
Jenna's probably game for that. I mean, like, the Masetta details.
Oh, yeah.
Where this is a potentially upsetting bar. Everything smelled like cigarettes, and there was this really shady back room they called the smoke room.
That's...
Jenna presses her knuckle to her lower lip, seemingly in thought. She glances up towards me after a moment.
Interesting.
With that look, I regret bringing it up already. Jenna seems to be maintaining this sort of intrigued expression. I begin bracing for any follow-up questions. What sort of music do they play there?
TJ!
Do they talk about Star Trek there?
Of all the questions to ask about the brothel, like, TJ asks the most innocent question of all. What kind of music do they play there?
Oh, right. I was informed that there is, in fact, a genre, an entire subset of fan art that's just Daxton and the horse.
Yes. Yes.
Surprisingly, TJ is the first to speak. I don't see any sign of judgment on his face either, just genuine curiosity. Oh, it was kind of weird, actually. It was this sort of droning, bassy synth stuff. Really? Yeah, never heard anything like it. It was kind of loud, too. I'm not sure why you're asking? It's TJ's turn to shrug. Just curious.
So, you went to a gay bar with Flynn, named after an old, famous brothel?
I exhale, resting my paws on the edge of the table. It's not like that.
Like what?
Daxton, Carl, and I followed him after he left us in the middle of hanging out last night. But he sort of, well, I think he was trying to invite me to go along with him in his own sort of way. He left his phone behind with just one text message on it with the address. I think he wanted to see if I was interested enough to snoop through his phone instead of outright inviting me. It's hard to explain.
Oh no, I understand completely. That sounds quite like Flynn. Very non-committal and giving himself something that he can hold against you if need be to protect himself from having any semblance of vulnerability.
Jenna rubs the bridge of her small nose, still seemingly frustrated with Flynn's behavior. She reaches down, picking up a paper plate from beside her and shoving it in a plastic bag.
I'm ready to head back to the motel. Chase, are you coming?
Oh, sure. TJ begins cleaning up as well, moving to drag the picnic table back to the appropriate yard. I help. Psychoanalysis by Jenna.
Like usual.
That is so like him. Why would people ever be like that and have sort of like toxic traits or misbehave in any way? Anyway, I'm gonna use the spider against you again.
Yeah, like I don't have any toxic traits at all. Like I don't have anything I need to talk about. Like everything is totally good over here in my brain.
I just have the largest body count in any route.
That is true.
Do you think? I think Jenna. I'm pretty sure Jenna outstrips Brian's body count by the end of her route.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, Brian's are way more intimate. But if Jenna floods the whole town, then I guarantee she has to kill more people than Brian does. Brian just has a little cluster of dead boys and a dead girl in there.
I sit cross-legged on the edge of the bed with a notebook in my lap. I'm sort of half planning out my script and half kicking myself for not doing a lot of this preliminary stuff earlier. I'm also kicking myself for not getting any scans of the photos and documents I found at City Hall.
Wow, you suck.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anything. he's not actually amassing any resources. Good plan, buddy. The B-roll I've got just doesn't quite cut it.
He doesn't even have B-roll.
Having actual historical papers with pictures of Echo inhabitants that aren't available online might look good for my portfolio. At least that's what Jenna said.
Once again, just listening to what Jenna tells you to do about your major and your project.
She does know better. I kind of doubt they're open on Saturday, so I'd have to talk to Flynn. And Flynn still wants me to assist him with this whole interrogation he has planned. Or at least stay out of the way. For now, I just want to focus on my project. Currently, Jenna's tapping away on her laptop on her side of the room. Although, she seems more distracted than she was at the beginning of this trip. TJ has the TV on some behind-the-album rock music history show that he's pretty engrossed in, from the looks of it. He lays beside me, his back propped up by pillows. We have not seen this camera angle for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
After a few more scribblings for my outro, I toss aside my notebook and slink on over to the other side of the room. I take a few packets of the candy egg oatmeal that we've got about 20 of and empty them into one of the complimentary styrofoam bowls on the table. I know it's for kids, but I've always kind of liked the stuff. I'm a sucker for anything that's bland as hell with the tiniest bit of sweets added in, like oat bran cereal with dehydrated marshmallow bits. I fill the bowl with water, about a centimeter higher than the top of the oatmeal. A little bit of maple cinnamon dust rises from the mixture.
I never really got into oatmeal. I think that it's a textural thing.
Yeah, it's upsetting to me.
It's upsetting to me too. But I know a lot of people that really like the dinosaur egg oatmeal.
Dinosaur egg oatmeal.
Yeah, what he's referring to, that's what he's referring to, is there's like these little ones, the little dinosaur eggs, and I think that if you when you get the milk in there, they crack open and there's little dinosaurs inside.
It just is.
Or maybe I'm just making. Maybe I'm adding the dinosaurs. Maybe they're just the candy that looks like dinosaur eggs.
Oatmeal just seems gross.
Tell me in the comments. Are there dinosaurs in the oatmeal? Are there sprinkles in there? What's in the eggs? Is there anything in the eggs?
I just think that like when we had our month-long trip for geology, and we were just stuck out there with whatever was on hand a lot of the time, there was 3 things that were fairly common: coffee, oatmeal, and strawberry jelly peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I was hoping you were gonna be like making out, like
and fucking.
Yeah,
oatmeal. It's like that was the trip where I went from being somebody who never drank coffee to someone that drinks coffee. Was that trip, and it just being what was around. And I'm like, I need caffeine. But I'm not bringing like 60 energy drinks on this trip, and tea is like too much work and not really around. So I got into coffee during that trip, and when it's 107 degrees out and you're sweating like crazy and miserable, unwrapping this like warm strawberry sandwich from your pocket was so good, and just chowing down on that, like that was like the fucking like the hot peanut butter and everything. Like it was such a good setup. Oatmeal stayed gross the whole time. Even in a setting with almost no set options, I could not be sold on oatmeal. I did not ever enjoy oatmeal. I hate it. No. But like other than that, the whole like, oh, it's bland, but there's little bits of sweetness and stuff. I'm like, I eat honey bunches of oats.
Those are so good.
That's my choice of cereal is honey bunches of oats. So like, I get it.
Kashi downstairs.
Yeah, but I hate oatmeal. Bad. I'm very much a cold cereal person, not a hot cereal person. That's the wrong part of the aisle.
Well, the ratio of like milk to like I want crunchiness.
Yes,
which is like what I like
when it's a weird mushy gross. It's upsetting to me. I don't want it. I don't like that experience.
But it's funny because at the same time I can eat stuff like I like grits and like polenta and stuff.
Nope.
I like things like that. But it's like in a dinner context and it's not cold, and I don't know. For some reason it's different. Whatever. Miss me with that criticism. I don't like cinnamon. I do what I want.
I tried adding cinnamon, it didn't help. Oatmeal could not be saved. Hopefully this pack isn't too old. I didn't check the expiration date before grabbing it from my dorm room. That was startling.
I feel like it took a million years to go bad because it's just dried oats and sugar.
I bring the mixture to my microwave and set it for 1 minute. On the TV, some raccoon is talking about how their music videos went viral back in 2006 and how the fame went to his bandmate's head.
It's secretly Kudzu. It's a secret double life. He actually used to be in like a rock band.
Is this a reference to the raccoons? Are we referencing the raccoons, McSkinny? Just like how I caught on that you were referencing the Fox in the Stable back in Route 65. I showed you the raccoons. There's that really old animation. Back in 2006, those music videos went viral, made by Cerberus or Tyrrell, who is still an active person in the furry fandom.
So it was 2006.
That's when YouTube was new. Is like when those ancient animations would have come around. I think this is a reference to the raccoons.
Yeah, they do an animated cover of Journey.
It's just so weird to think about. Yeah, they did the Journey, and they did
Separate Ways.
And they did Separate Ways by Journey and Fever by Aerosmith. I watched those videos a lot around that time. It's weird to think that 2006 was nearly 10 years ago at this point.
More than that now.
Yep, almost 20. Returning to dust in real time. I remember watching shows like this with my mom as a kid, and they were always about hair metal bands from the 80s and 90s, like Journey and Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Each episode is full of grainy, old pack film photographs of the alleged happier days of the folk superstar. It has me thinking about how much stuff like that there is from my childhood. There's nearly a gig of videos on my old laptop, ranging from home movies, machinima, to class projects I did in the group. Chase made machinima. Okay. Yep, he grew up exactly in that era. So, do you know what machinima is?
I've heard this word before.
It's when you basically like record skits, but in a video game.
Oh yeah.
Like Red vs. Blue with the bobbing heads.
Yeah.
And then all they're doing is just doing a voiceover over the gameplay footage. That was machinima. That was a whole genre in the mid-2000s of video. I used to browse. It wasn't the YouTube channel known as machinima. I used to browse a machinima website that was largely machinima. Like Halo was what made me learn the word because of Red vs. Blue, but there's a ton of WoW machinima. Just tons of using World of Warcraft emotes and camera angles to just do skits and stories, and you had these like increasingly elaborate these increasingly elaborate videos that seem to be pulling off all this crazy stuff that where you were like, how do they even do that? Like how did they? That's not in the game. Like how did they make that visual happen? Like you start trying to unpack what the fuck, how they're making these videos when they're just like some guys on computers just trying to pull off like extremely budget versions of what like a movie would do. And some of these had like complex lore. So a lot of these were just kind of stupid stream of consciousness comedy nonsense that just kept getting sequel episodes just for fun. But it's the reason I use Sony Vegas, now Magix Vegas, as my editing software is because back then every single WoW machinima you saw in the credits, it said that they used Sony Vegas 6 just every time. So like when I was watching like the Illegal Danish or whatever the fuck, I would or the Guild or the Grind or whatever it's called, it was always Sony Vegas 6. So then so when it was time to use editing software for this channel for the first time, I just defaulted to Sony Vegas, and I still use it to this day.
Some fun like Keith backstory lore. I used to just play Smash Brothers Melee and act out scenes between like characters like Mario and Princess Peach getting in a fight, like a domestic dispute.
I paused it just right so that Bowser and Fox look like they're
they're fucking.
I'm 12. Yeah.
I was an only child.
I was an
only child who had a bunch of friends that were girls who didn't play video games, so I was playing Melee by myself.
I just activated somebody in the audience like a sleeper agent by saying Illegal Danish. Like, what the f- No! Oxhorn short shorts? What are you talking about? There's nearly a gig of videos, machinima, blah blah, the group. Plus all my social media posts are still there. It's not like those days where faded memories on a sepia tinted photo roll picture. They're right there in full 1024 by 786 aspect ratio, a few clicks away.
Is that good?
I would have said resolution instead of aspect ratio. That just feels weird to call it aspect ratio, but no, it's not a lot of pixels. That's technically better than 720p, which is the shittier of the two versions of YouTube resolution you see that say HD next to them. 720p is like the resolution Dark Souls played in 2011, but most stuff you see in current day, like if you play something on your screen, it's probably in 1080p. So that means there's 1080 pixels vertically. And so this is 786 is slightly higher than that, but it is just a photo. But it's not a very photos should be thousands of pixels by now in every direction. Like that's extremely compressed Facebook resolution photos. The way that if you download all your stuff from Facebook as like that way you can request all your info and download it, which I did when I closed my Facebook. They are much shittier photos than they were when you put them up in the first place, because it compresses them into low resolution photos before when it stores them and shows them to people. Especially the older back they are. I think they probably increased the standards over time. But if you uploaded something in like 2006, it's going to be whatever the fuck Facebook was doing to your photos in 2006. So it's going to be this little postage stamp photo. It's just going to be trash. In a way that leads to, because it was determined by internet speeds and server sizes and so on, it did lead to this another version of that sepia tinted weird aged photo look, is that shitty compressed or undersized photos digitally have their own like age feel to it. Kind of like when you find a YouTube video from 2006 and it's like it's in like 240p. Like it's all those how if you find a sincerely ancient video, it's always low resolution, 30 frames per second or less, and it's also 4:3. Like it's a square. Like that's a specific look where you like register like, oh, this is old, right? This is an old video. It's a little square.
What a time we live in now.
Yeah, like there's an aging process, everything else akin to like old photos.
So I wasn't on the early internet, so I missed all those. But granted, like, things definitely just got better looking over time, like in a way that was subtle enough for me to have not really noticed the changing as things got more...
It's like the equivalent of like you just look at like Ego Raptor's YouTube channel and like you see his first ancient Newgrounds animations, and then you see like those Poke Awesome ones that were made by like they were like assisted with by a studio or whatever, or like his music videos. And you're like, that's technically the same person on the same website, but like not all of that is just animation like quality progress. It's also like the standards of what they were even uploading to in the first place. Like you can see the old ones are like much blurrier and shittier looking beyond what's being drawn, because that's just what they would let you upload. And if you upload anything bigger, they'd make it that. Fuck you. Maybe that's why I don't think about Echo with as much nostalgia as someone like TJ or, well, Leo for sure. Speaking of, I checked my phone a little while ago. He hasn't texted me. The microwave beeps and I take my oatmeal out, but because of the tangent we went on, it's been microwaving for 15 minutes and it's just
gonna be scalding.
Searing crater.
It exploded in the microwave. You have to scrub it down now. Those dinosaur eggs are up against the glass. Like,
yeah. The directions say to leave it in for 2 to 2.5 minutes, but that always seems like overkill. I like it a bit soupy.
Ew.
Ew. Can you microwave styrofoam?
You can, but you're not really supposed to.
Seems like a bad. Yeah, I'm like I'm upset that
it's not good for
microwave styrofoam.
Yeah, but usually when you're in a hotel, they usually only give you like a lot.
That's why you don't eat in the hotel. It's a bad plan.
Well, it's just kind of miserable.
It's like when I tried to use the instant coffee mix that our coffee machine had at Las Vegas FurCon, and I just threw it out. I'm like, I can't drink this.
No,
this is a nightmare. I'm scared of what
anyone who's ever tried that once, like, you just know it's like, this basically is useless. I'm gonna go buy coffee somewhere. Yes,
no, it was I felt betrayed for even putting the effort in to figure it out. I'm like, this isn't a Keurig at all. This is a nightmare. I'm gonna go take a shower. You guys want anything? On my way back from the shower?
That is a weird thing to say, TJ.
What does he say?
Can I get a couple of pictures?
You want anything from the bathroom before I close the door?
It's probably what he means, but I'm like, hey, can I have some soap and like a toothbrush? I just want it for out here.
I'm gonna go take a shower. Want to come with?
Sure.
Yeah, all right. I blink. What? DJ stares blankly at us. Do you want anything from the shower?
I'm glad that was acknowledged.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to think of this. Jenna, after a couple of seconds, looks up from her laptop at the links.
TJ?
He looks as if he's come to some realization, then quickly covers his face with his paw. I mean... Forget I said the second part. You too! Have a nice meal. You too!
Oh no, now I have to go home and kill myself. I can never come back here again.
I shift awkwardly, bowl of oatmeal in paw. I didn't get much sleep last night. Jenna sighs.
It's okay. Neither did I.
I didn't wake you guys when I got in, did I?
No, we were already pretty much awake.
That man shouting in the parking lot was making me uneasy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear any of that. Jenna lowers the top of her laptop, son, though not closing it all the way.
It started a little bit before midnight. You hadn't arrived yet.
It sounded like he was walking around all the motel. He even screamed at our window. Is this Duke hunting for Chase?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Was he yelling bleh. Was he yelling anything specific? No, he was just shouting. I heard a few words here and there, but never like any full sentences or anything. He just sounded really, really mad. Or sad. TJ pauses, looking at the bowl I'm holding. Or scared, I don't know. Part of me kind of wanted to call Leo. I can't help but smile a little at that. Really? Wow. I didn't actually. Leo the Protector. I can't believe after all this time TJ still sees Leo that way. TJ hasn't seen the other routes.
I called the police. They said they'd send a patrol car, but I never saw one show up. You must have just left, a little before you showed up, actually.
Feels like everyone's on drugs in this town now.
Now?
Jenna retorts, looking at me with a raised brow. Oh right, this is the escalation of the hum. It's one of those early hints that just something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because you get a few of those earlier in the route.
Well, it's like, you know...
And the whole thing last route was that just didn't. Just nothing happened. We just diverted the entire hum from happening until years later. Which is really weird to experience in real time.
It is really weird. But yeah, basically, it's like the equivalent of the Janice thing that would have happened earlier, but doesn't happen in this route.
Did they never mention Janice in this one?
No, I don't think we've mentioned Janice at all.
Maybe.
Because
so the Janice pissing scene has happened so consistently.
yeah, the Janice pissing scene is like when that first shows up to me, that's like one of those like, oh, that person's a tweaker type moments, but knowing the context of the game, you're like, okay, that can't be that. It's probably something else. Also, because then you meet Janice later, and she's like such a pleasant person, and it seems odd that it would be the same person.
No, and like it's unregistered that it happened.
And not acknowledged. Yeah. So, like, the person yelling outside is like, it is the Shaun of the Dead, like, zombies in the background beginning of Echo. It is like the equivalent of that.
Seen that movie too many times.
It's a great movie.
It was an infinite rerun movie on Comedy Central for a while. It just kept coming back. And I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That and like National Lampoon's Van Wilder.
Yeah, they played a lot of those.
Well, I mean, it wasn't always this strange, was it?
Even back growing up, I'd still wager that at least a third of the population was on heroin or worse. It comes with the territory. But I will say, I do somewhat agree with you. Echo depopulated by around 100 people since I was born. That in itself is the other 2/3 of the population. Those that remained didn't have that same level of general township community that we once had. What little that it was.
TJ nods, rubbing at his wrists and looking toward the drape-covered window facing the parking lot. I remember when we used to have our own grocery store. Oh, speaking of, we ate at the diner after the hike yesterday. Julian was there now as a busboy. You remember him, right? Whoa!
Dude,
we've acknowledged a character from another route for the first time ever. And it's Julian.
It's Julian. That is weird.
The continuity is surprising. It's one of those things that just never comes up. Like, Kutsu just is never a presence in any other route.
It just seems like they don't exist without the route. Like they dissolve into the ether.
Whereas Julian's integrated into a location where you'd expect him to come up more.
Yeah, and he doesn't come up in... Like, he comes up in this one by mouth, you know?
Yeah, the one written afterwards.
But every other one, he doesn't show up or come up at all. Even though it, like, every other route has more involvement with the diner specifically.
Yeah. I think for a moment. Was he the green reptile kid who peed himself in AP Lit?
Oh.
TJ looks a little aghast. What? No! Then I don't know him.
That was Cody.
Wait, the Cody you dated? Jenna makes a slightly disgusted noise, shaking her head.
You're thinking of upstate Cody.
That's the zebra. I never got to meet him.
Yes, well...
Jenna lets out a little puff of air, pushing up her laptop screen again and typing something.
Neither did I.
She stops for a moment, turning to look at me, like an online-only relationship.
Yeah, I guess so. May I have some of that?
My oatmeal? Oh, sure. I hand her the still warm styrofoam bowl with a spoon. Damn it, I wanted that.
Then why do you say yes?
And of course she's digging out all the sugar dinosaur eggs first.
Oh,
You're right.
What a bitch.
You're completely right. So, right, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, Julian was telling us that the diner will probably end up closing down at the end of the year. Maybe next if they're lucky. That's like the last business in town besides the motel. The last legitimate business, you mean? I see Jenna nod before taking another bite of my oatmeal. It's no wonder that people act weird. Even Leo, Carl, and definitely Flynn are different. Did you guys see Janice again after what happened on the road? Okay, so it did happen.
Okay, I forgot about that.
It's hard to remember because it's the same scene in some way or other. It just depends on whether or not Chase was there. TJ nods uneasily. The Link's beginning to busy himself, gathering up a fresh set of clothes. I asked her if she was okay or needed any help, and she said she was fine. Great even. But she looked really bad. TJ picks up some red pajama pants that have faded little Christmas ornament style symbols stitched in around the bottoms and pine tree decals on the waist. He also, a bit more discreetly, grabs a pair of bright red underwear and quickly hides them in the folds of the pants.
Oh.
Can't see people catching my underwear.
I don't want them to know.
Indecent.
I don't want them to know what I'm wearing.
I don't want anyone to realize I have a penis. I wonder if he's matching the two intentionally. And I don't mean like ugly. I mean she was kind of grimy and smelled like raw meat. She still has the meat pile.
I was gonna say, like, where is this meat pile? We're never gonna get an answer on that one. She was definitely on something, TJ.
I hope not. TJ turns, shuffling himself into the bathroom. The door shuts.
You know...
Jenna sets up some.
I think it was Clint.
Clint. Jenna is speaking to me, but her eyes are on her laptop. Huh?
The man outside that was screaming. At first I thought he had Jeremy with him. And God, just the thought of that makes me want to get out of this town and not look back.
I don't blame you, but... Clint? Judging from popular television growing up, it seems that everyone alive has had a childhood bully, some with multiple.
Not me, ha.
We had Clint and his little gang of assholes. Jeremy, Micah, hell, even Heather sometimes. Got two named characters from other routes.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Weird.
That is weird.
It's weird only because it hasn't happened before.
Please, Kuzu, please, Kuzu, please, Kuzu.
The thing is, in a town of 50 people, escaping your bullies is near impossible. They're everywhere. They hate you. They hurt you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Well, until Leo did something about it. I still remember the squelching noises Clint made as Leo hit him over and over outside his trailer. Leo didn't speak any English, and they were all a couple years older than us, but that didn't stop him. I don't know how things would have turned out if he never moved here.
The voice, it had a certain cadence to it that reminded me of him.
I resigned myself to the notion that Jenna has eaten all my oatmeal at this point.
Gosh, so rude. Look at yourself sometimes, Jenna.
It's really shitty. Just take it. Moving over to the microwave, I grab another styrofoam bowl and a couple more packets. I can already tell there's not going to be enough left to really be satisfying. I assume you haven't gone to see Jeremy and the rest of the family either then.
No, and I doubt I will. By the way, how are you doing?
I look over my shoulder. She seems to be deciding on a font for whatever she's typing away at.
Comic Sans. Papyrus.
Catching my glance, she meets my gaze for just a moment.
And I don't mean just in general. Any sleep issues?
And, of course, she changes the topic just like that. Sleep issues, as she calls them for my sake. I pour some water on the oatmeal. No paralysis, just sort of strange, really lucid dreams. I think my subconscious wants me to shave off my goatee.
I think the world wants you to shave off your goatee.
My body's antibodies are fighting off my goatee as we speak.
If my body's rejecting it.
As an invasive species.
It's maybe the one time you should listen to the voices in your head.
I make a growling noise that comes out a lot less intimidating than I had intended. Jenna doesn't look up.
What are the dreams like?
So many weird sounds in this room. It's freaking me out a little bit. I let out a long exhale, placing the oatmeal in the microwave. I don't know. I think I'm just tired and it's mixing badly with my current mental state. I've been kind of crawling in my skin. These words will not heal since I got here.
I was about to say that. Crawling in
Fear is how I fold, forgiving how is real. Oh. Confusing what is real. There we go. I saw a face behind someone's shoulder that wasn't really there last night. It wasn't something that I thought about much at the time. I was already upset, but the more I dwell on it, I don't know. I shrug, waving dismissively. When I look at Jenna again, I can see the fur on her neck has lifted a little. It was probably just the angle, though. You alright? Jenna looks back at me, and I can tell she's debating whether or not to tell me something. I wait.
It just made me think about when I was a kid. I hadn't thought about it for years, actually.
I pause. Do you want to talk about it? I'm worried about to open up a can of worms, and I'm also scared of worms.
I'm also afraid of cans. It wasn't traumatizing or anything like that. Well, it was, actually, but it wasn't real.
Did you see a face?
Yeah, it was a reddish color. Flat, too.
Whoa.
Yeah, it had a body as well, but I can't really remember exactly what it was like.
Did you dream it?
No, not really a dream, at least not in the sense that I was asleep when it happened. I just see it walking around in broad daylight sometimes.
What the hell? Are these like real solid memories? Like it really happened?
I don't know. It usually happened when I was sad or angry, like when my dad was having one of his moments. You mentioned that you saw something while you were upset reminded me of it. I just see it walk past a doorway or sit in a closet.
Really? What the fuck?
This was a long time ago, like when I was 5. I don't want you thinking I'm crazy, Chase.
I don't. I saw things too, as a kid, I mean. More things.
Yeah, I think you've told me.
I had, and it's something I really don't want to think about right now.
I'm pretty sure it's just something my mind made up because I was under a lot of stress. The brain can make up whatever it wants, really. It's part of the reason I went into the field that I did. I want to help figure these things out.
Do you see it anymore at all? She's quiet for a moment, then shakes her head.
No.
Oh, okay. More startling again.
What the fuck?
Here it comes, Saturday, the bad, bad day.
This looks like a bad, bad day.